Alright, Brush Monkeys, we are back, and as you may recall, last week for Quarantine Tuesday, we painted the 1984 Grenadier Beholder to look like the new Nolzur's Beholder, and in the process of painting that one, I found this guy, who's a 1980 Grenadier Beholder, and might be the first Beholder miniature ever produced under license from TSR. Who made Dungeons and Dragons. But if you'll recall, I said this guy was part of the Dwellers Below box set from Grenadier Miniatures. Now, I got so excited about finding this guy because this is one of the oldest miniatures I own, because I got started in the hobby around 1979, 1980 when this box set came out. So I started looking through my collection to see what else I could find, and I found the whole set. I apparently at some point had bought the entire, bought that box set, and that's how I got that guy. And that sounds kind of weird, but you know, some miniatures I bought piecemeal here and there, bought them like secondhand or garage sales or whatever. So the fact that I bought this entire box set was pretty awesome. And I had managed to find all the miniatures that came in it. This is all the rest of them, except for these two. I do still have these two. It's a 1T and something called an Aspid, which looks like kind of a bug warrior kind of person. All of these had already been stripped. The 1T and the Aspid had not, and so they are sitting in the jar stripper now, getting that old crappy paint peeled off of them. They will be joining us later. These are the ones I already had stripped, and we're just pleased to find that I had the whole set of miniatures. So I'm going to do the next two videos, this one and the next one, are going to be painting up these guys. I'm going to look up the creatures in the monster manual, if they're still there, to find out what they're supposed to look like. I've got them already glued to these nice little Citadel bases, so they'll fit in the handles well. I'm going to go ahead and put some Vallejo Gray Pumice texture paste on these bases, and then I'll prime them. So the next time you see these guys, they're all going to be primed up and ready to go. Ready to get started painting. But for right now, I'm going to go ahead and pause it, put the texture paint on these, and then I'm going to go find my copy of the monster manual and look these guys up and see what I can find. Alright, so yeah, so stay tuned for that. It's going to be fun. I'm really looking forward to painting these old school D&D creatures. So I'll be back in a bit. Bye. Alright, Brush Monkeys, as you can see, I've got the bases all textured up on the Dwellers Below set from Grenadier. I've also got the miniatures all zenithal primed. You can probably see it best on this roper here. So I went with a fairly light zenithal prime of gray sear and then white from down on top, because most of these guys are going to be done in contrast paints. They're going to be done fairly quickly that way. And they're fairly simple color schemes. I went through the monster manual, I went through my color studies book, and I worked out color schemes for all these guys. I've got them all written out in my notebook. So there's 9 creatures altogether. The Aspis and the 1T are still in the stripper, so they're going to have to stay there. The Beholder's already done. So basically I've got 8. With the Beholder already done, that leaves 8 guys to paint. 2 of them are still in the drink. So they're going to wait until later. I think I'm going to hold off on the Odiug and the Rust Monster until next video. So that leaves me the Roper, the Cave Fisher, the Doppelganger, and the Intellect Devourer for today's video. So I'm going to go ahead and get started on those, and then I'm just going to go ahead and start picking out some paints for them and get started on those. I'm going to put these others aside until the Aspis and 1T are done, and then I can add them to their bases and get started on those. I think the Aspis and the 1T and the Rust Monster and the Odiug are going to be slightly more complicated color schemes. For the most part, these are only going to be maybe 2 or 3 colors. They're going to go by really fast. And there'll be contrast paints, so there's not going to be a whole lot of shading and highlighting and waiting for all that stuff to go by. So it's going to be a pretty quick process. So I'm going to go ahead and take these and go put them over on the other workbench with the stripper paint, and then we'll come back and get started putting down some colors on, talking about the color schemes on these guys and putting some base coats down on them. All right, see you soon. Bye. Alright, brush monkeys, as you can see, I got the contrast paints down on all these guys. I've got a couple little details here and there to finish, like the eyes on the doppelganger, the eyes on the cave fisher, and the eye on the roper. The intellect devourer obviously doesn't have any eyes, so as soon as his contrast paint is dry, he's pretty well done. I'm going to go over all of them and do the base band in Castle Gray Army War Paint. Just to kind of tie them all together. You know how I am about painting the base bands of a unit all in one color to kind of tie the army together. And while these guys aren't meant to fight in a unit, it does kind of tie them all together as part of the same box set, which means I'm going to have to go back and redo the Beholder's base band. But this is a good example of how quickly these guys come together with just contrast paints. That's all this was. It was Guilliman flesh and snakebite leather and Basilicanum gray on him, Basilicanum gray and Dark Angel's green on him, Black Templar and Basilicanum gray on that one, and just Basilicanum gray head to toe on that one. And they're, like I said, with the exception of a few little details, eyes and base bands, they're pretty well finished. And they look really good. I'm really kind of pleased with these. The great thing about these old miniatures is while they don't have the detail that modern minis have, they still have a fair amount of detail, enough to catch the contrast paints, but also you're able to get very, very striking results, very good results out of contrast paints on these guys. So it's not necessary, just because they're old school, to take forever base coating them, shade washing them, dry brushing them, etc., etc., etc. You can do contrast paints. You can use a new technique on these old minis and get really, really good results out of these guys. And I'm really happy with how these are turning out. In particular, I noticed, and I'm going to zoom in on this guy a little bit because he kind of cracked me up while I was painting him, is for some reason this guy, the roper, has like this, I don't know if you can see just over, if that's the way they sculpted his mouth or what, but it looks like he's got like the 70s porn stash. And he kind of looks like the Cyclops version of my grade school principal. So I'm kind of half tempted to just kind of paint that brown just for shits and giggles. Just to see what happens. But yeah, I got his teeth to do. I got his eye. I got the eyes on this one to do, the eyes on this one. And then the base bands on all 4 of them, and they're pretty well done. So I'm going to take a break and let all this contrast paint finish drying, and then because contrast paint tends to pull away from the uppermost points of a model and give it that kind of natural highlight, I'm going to go back through and see, like I can already see in between the legs here, there's a little spot that may need to be, I can't tell if that's the light or if that needs to be done again. I think it's just the light. But I'm going to let them all dry and then go back over them and see if there's any points that need to be touched up. And then we'll go from there. Alright. So I'm going to take a break now and let these finish drying, and then we'll come back and you know what? I'm going to go ahead and say I'm going to check back in when I get the eyes done, especially with the cave fisher, because I've got something kind of cool planned with the eyes. I'm going to do kind of a light metallic blue from Scale 75, this Cobalt Alchemy. It's a really nice thing. I'm going to do that on as a base coat on his eyes, and then glaze them with green and blue glaze, just kind of make them look insectoid. And if that works out really well, I'll be doing the same thing on the Aspis eyes. But yeah, other than that, it's all coming together pretty well. So, like I said, I'm going to go ahead and take a break, let these dry, and then we'll come back and wrap them up. Alright, see you soon. Bye. Alright, brush monkeys, we are back, and as you can see, the first 5, I'm including the beholder in this, the first 5 Dwellers Below box set is done, and they are looking pretty fantastic. I got the beholder, got the intellect devourer, the doppelganger, the cave fisher, and the roper, and they look pretty spectacular. Really particularly pleased with how the eyes came out on the cave fisher. That's that light blue base, then a glaze of green, a glaze of blue, and then after I matte sealed it, gloss coated those eyes. I think those really came out good. The Aspis has fragmented kind of insect all eyes like that, so I think I'm going to do him the same way. The roper, I decided the porn stash he had going on there was too much to resist, and I had to go ahead and paint it brown to make it stand out a little bit. He still kind of looks like my grade school principal. If Mr. Gables is watching this, I don't think he is, but you know, sorry, dude. But so yeah, that's the first 5, and they're looking pretty spiffy. I'm pretty happy with how they turned out, and this is a good example of how you can get some really nice effects out of these old school minis. I don't think there's any way they would have turned out looking half as good with the tools and materials and paints that I had back in the day. If you had seen the before picture, you would have known that was definitely true, because they looked atrocious, to say the least. Even after I repainted them a few years later, when I actually got decent mini paints, they still look freaking horrible. This is the first time I've painted these guys that I actually am pretty proud of how they turned out. So yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and wrap this video up. Next week we will start in on the other 4. That's the Odiug we've got here, the Rust Monster, which I'm really looking forward to painting him, and the Aspis and the Aspis and Wanti are still in the stripper, so hopefully they'll be out soon, and I can start I can get them cleaned up and based and primed with the rest of them, and finish up this whole old school miniature set with new school paint jobs. So thanks for watching, and I will see you guys later. See you guys next week. Bye. Hey Brush Monkeys, Tom from Flying Monkey Studios here. If you like what you see, click like down below. Click the subscribe button if you want to see more and want to be notified when new videos come out. Check out the links in the video description for links to our Patreon page and our Instagram, so you can see all the different ways that you can support me in doing what I do, and get your hands on some of these miniatures that I've painted if you want one of your own. You can also follow us on Twitter and Facebook if you want to see updates and see when new videos get posted. And I will see you guys next week. Thanks a lot. Bye.